Hey guys, welcome to Budget with the July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and on this channel I cover everything personal finance. I talk about budgeting, I talk about investing as well as saving. If these topics interest you, then please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get in today's video. So in today's video, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. So I have been getting a lot of questions both here and on Instagram about what I do for a living, and I thought it would be quite a good get to know me style video to share with you what I actually do, because I'm getting these questions more frequently, and now moving forward I'm just going to be using the link to this video to respond to people. So let's get into get to know me video. So I have my trusted notepad here with me, and I've written down the areas that I would like to cover. So I will cover my background in education, so my background with respect to what subjects I did in GCSEs, so I think that's junior or sophomore in the US, and then A level, and then I'll also talk about what I did in university, which I believe is college for the US viewers. Then I will cover my income range, so I won't exactly say what I make from my job because obviously that's confidential, so I won't be sharing that, but I'll give you a range of what you can expect for somebody in my field. And then I will also share the field that I studied at university and the field that, for me, I'm fortunate to have studied something and work in that field as well. So those are the three areas that I'll be covering in this video. So let's start off first with my background, so that we will cover GCSEs, A levels, and university. So for those of you who don't know, we moved to the UK when I was 16 or thereabouts, and then I started schooling in the UK, and I did GCSE sciences. I did GCSE sciences as well as maths. So I did biology, chemistry, and physics, and then I did maths as well. That's all I did. Because of the time of the year that we came, it was impossible for me to take up, I believe it's like 12 classes that they had at that time. I don't know if it's still the case right now. So I only focused on sciences, maths, and English as well. I did English Lit. Then after GCSEs, I did my A levels, GCE, what is called, I believe, or what it used to be called when I was at school. And so with that, I did sciences again and maths. I dropped English Lit and later on dropped maths as well. So I ended up doing human biology, normal biology, and chemistry. These are the ones that I did for my A levels, and then I did the first year of my A levels I did maths as well, and then for the second year of my A levels I dropped maths. So I only stayed with my sciences, and that's it. For university, I went to the University of Hertfordshire, in Hatfield, and I studied life sciences. So my specialty within the life science field is pharmacology, but obviously it's a part of life sciences, and you needed to have studied at least one or two sciences to be, obviously passed your A levels to be able to get into the program. So I did pharmacology. First year we all did biosciences. So it was compulsory. So it's like first year, none of us were specialized whatsoever. We all did the same thing. That was first year. Second year, then we specialized to what we wanted to focus on. And for me, that was pharmacology. And then I did a gap year, and I explained my gap year because this is very important into me getting my first graduate job. So the program that I did was a 4-year program. So year one, like I said, you didn't specialize in anything, you just did life sciences. And then in year two, that's when you specialize. So you chose your field, whether you're going to be a biomedical scientist, or whether you're going to be a pharmaceutical science student, or you're going to be pharmacology. I went with pharmacology. And then in my third year, you had an option to proceed straight to final year and, complete your degree, or do a placement. Now, or actually, no, not just three. There were 3 options. So you could decide to finish your university in the third year, or study abroad or get a placement. I went for a placement because in the second year we had students a year above us come to explain to us how difficult it was for them to get jobs, and it made sense if you did a placement. So I took that on board big time because I knew I wanted to work in the pharmaceutical industry. So I did a placement with one of the big pharmaceutical companies out there. I won't say their name here, but you can find me on LinkedIn, I'm sure. I worked for them for 15 months. My placement was for 12 months, but they liked me enough and asked me to stay on for a couple more months, and I did, which was great for me. I did that, and then I went back to university my 4th year and I finished uni. What was interesting is when I was doing my final year exams, we did them in May. During that time, I remember my friends and I were frantic, studying, revising, and what have you. But for me, I found that was the perfect time to look for a job. And because I knew that I had a leg up on most people because I had done a placement in the pharmaceutical industry, and long and behold, I was able to get my first job in the pharmaceutical industry, which I wanted to do. I think it was a week after we finished our final exam, and then we had to wait until my results came out for me to officially start with the company. It was absolutely incredible. So that's how I transitioned into the pharmaceutical industry straight from uni. And if you are in university right now, I highly, highly recommend you consider that gap year, not only for going abroad to study abroad. I would say think about placements as well. Firstly, think about the field, because one thing that is quite interesting to me, I still find really fascinating, is the fact that a lot of these pharmaceutical companies will not hire you if you don't have experience. But for you to get experience, they need to give you a job. So this is why I feel like when you're a student, even though it will be tough, I think it is highly likely that they would get a student to cover for, maybe maternity or what have you, and then that will give you the experience that you need. And then when you finish university, then you can proceed and get a job in the pharmaceutical industry. You have a leg up at least over everybody else. So that is my background with respect to my GCSEs, my A levels, and then going into uni, and then from uni transitioning into the pharmaceutical industry. So if I go to the field that I work in, so like I said, I did life sciences, specifically pharmacology. So I've got a bachelor's degree in pharmacology, and I decided that with this degree I wanted to work in the pharmaceutical industry in safety. When I was doing my placement, I worked in clinical trials, and it was from there that I learned that there's this thing called pharmacovigilance, which absolutely incredible. So safety of drugs. So we get reports in from healthcare professionals, from consumers who report into the pharmaceutical company that, okay, I took your drug, and so for example, like I took paracetamol and I started getting the nosebleed. So those are the kind of reports that we get, and then we look at them to make sure that their benefit risk profile is still what we have advertised. And if that has changed, we have to let the regulators know. Sometimes things change for the better, sometimes for the worse. So if it's for the worse, then we have to look at pulling the drug or reducing who can actually take our drug and all of that jazz. So that is the field of interest to me. That's what I decided to work in. So when I started in the pharmaceutical industry, I went straight to pharmacovigilance. It's also called safety if you join a pharmaceutical company. So I worked in safety since I started my career back in 2013. So my placement year was back in 2010, and I started working in the pharmaceutical industry not as a student but as a postgrad in 2013. And I've worked in various fields, areas within the pharmaceutical industry, but mostly centered around safety. So I've worked in clinical trials and I've worked in post-marketing. So post-marketing is when the drug has been approved and it's on the market. So those are the fields I've worked in. I've worked in regulatory, I've worked in quality as well, but my focus is safety, and that's what I enjoy the most. Right now, I am still in safety, but in a senior manager position for something which is safety related but completely different, which is something that I love about the pharmaceutical industry, because there's a lot lot of roles. Ooh, a lot of roles that you can get absolutely incredible. So I highly encourage it if you're looking for you're doing a life science degree and you're looking for a job in the pharmaceutical industry. There is plenty. Now the final area to discuss is money, right? So again, I won't share how much I make for privacy reasons, but I tell you, when I started my career, I was very fortunate. I'll start with my when I did the placement year. I was one of the highest paid placement students when I did my placement with this company. So I was informed about 5 years prior, nobody from my university had managed to get a placement with that company. I was the first in 5 years. And what's funny is the last person who did their placement from my university with that company was working for that company, and I worked under her. And the ones before that all worked in the same department. It was crazy. It was such an incredible thing to think that our boss for the department and about 3 people in that department, we all came from the same university, and we are like, they're all my seniors kind of thing. And it was pretty unique. And I became the highest paid intern in that I asked all of my friends that I was close with that did placements as well. Their salaries were way lower than what I had. So I got a taste of what a pharmaceutical company could offer me. Then when I finished uni and I started my first postgrad job in safety, I started just under 30K, which again was huge. Like, think about this. I was doing part-time care work when I was at uni. I worked throughout my university and I was earning like 12K every year, which was obviously peanuts, but I was a part-time. And then when I started working, I went from 12K whoop, to almost 30K. It was crazy. So that was my first income, but I don't think that is very common. I think for entry level it's between 25 to 30. So it depends also which part of what job you get within the pharmaceutical industry. I know some pay quite high from entry, some are still quite low, because especially if you don't have any experience, that might impact your income bracket. And then after I gained some experience and I moved to another company, I went on from 30K, from almost 30K to 30K plus with that company, and that came with a lot of compensation, which was a part of the compensation was only part of the company, which paid out in the end for me, which I'm very grateful for. So that, and then I moved to another role within the same company, which I moved to 40K, and then within that company I moved to about 50K, and then it was pretty great because I kept doing different roles. And then for the company that I work for right now, I won't say how much I make from that company, but the range for my role ranges from anywhere from 60K to 80K. So it really depends on the role that you're doing. Again, I'm not saying what exactly I make, but that is the range. And I had to do an Indeed search for this to find out what the range is, because I know some companies, when they are trying to retain employees, they may even beat the range. So it really depends, but so I had to check on what like my type of role would get in another company kind of thing. And it also doesn't hurt to find out what is happening in the market, right? So I hope this clarifies enough about what I do, and I am sorry that I can't exactly say how much I make annually or monthly. I try and give you a ballpark of all of my sources of income. Again, this is just for privacy reason. I don't say exactly how much I'm making from my job, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.